Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishop of Great Millstone that rule well. And peace and blessing be multiplied on all you brethren out there pushing this word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect, 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there. I'm the brother Dama Gabar here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right, and this is going to be a quick lesson, and as you can see, it begins. You see the psychological operation, the further division, the objectives to get people more divided and people at each other's throats. Hey, it's coming to pass. This psychological operation is, I believe, I'm just speaking as a man, is going to start setting shit off in a major way to further to divide this country. And you even got Trump, which I'm gonna show you in another quick article, is flaming the pointing the finger, blaming the left, blaming the radical left, which they're starting to point fingers. All right, and you're gonna see a lot of these maggers, a lot of these Charlie Kirk supporters. Hey, these Edomites are pissed off, man, and they're looking for somebody to blame. And guess what? They're gonna blame the left. They're going to blame their political, adversaries. They're going to blame the left. You see, and that's going to lead to a lot of you so-called Negroes being blamed because, these Edomites know a lot of you Jakes vote Democrat. And you see a lot of Jake, too, making these videos, talking shit, making fun of this guy getting popped. I was listening to Tariq Nasheed. You had Jake's calling that, talking about we ain't got no sympathy, we ain't got no empathy. To hell with him. He was a white supremacist. They was cracking jokes and shit. You see a lot of these Edomites, they're pissed off, they're angry, they're crying, that's how one of their heroes, one of their white supremacist supporters, one of their fellow maggers, get taken out by now, which I was reading an article. I'm gonna wait before I respond. Saying that they found the killer's weapon, and it had certain ideological talking points on the bullet casings. So now they're saying that it could possibly be a libicula supporter, a trans supporter, and that is some of the talking points that this guy Charlie Kirk was highly speaking out against. So hey, ultimately we can see this is going to cause even more division. It's going to lead to basically, well, let me get it. Isaiah, the 19th chapter. And this is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. You see? And this is ultimately what, a lot of this psychological operation was to create. And on top of that, it's going to help these elites to be able to bring in this Gideon, that technology, more thought crime, more policing of the internet, more lockdown on free speech, and they're going to use this guy to, to forward the agenda of these elites, to label more people, to use him as, a pawn for their agenda, And like I said, now this guy has become a martyr, and they're going to use this to their benefit, talking about these elites, man. Ultimately to bring in this new world order. So let's check this out. It says Charlie Kirk visual erupts into violence as protesters spark mass brawl. Remember, hey, and this is white on white crime right here. This is Edomite on Edomite crime taking place because of this Charlie Kirk situation. And like I said, it's ultimately, what was done by these elites to bring further division to this country, man. So let's read a little bit. It says a visual hell for conservative activist Charlie Kirk erupted into violence as mourners and protesters engage in a dramatic clash. Hundreds of people gathered for a candlelit visual in Boise following the assassination of Kirk on Wednesday. The 31-year-old founder of Turning Point USA was gunned down during an event at Utah Valley. Members of the Utah House of Representatives hosted a visual at the Idaho State Capitol in the hours after his death. The evening saw a moment of silence, prayers, and a series of patriotic chants in honor of Kirk. However, the event erupted in chaos when a violent brawl broke out. It comes as a TV host is fired on the spot after insensitive comments about the shooting. You see, And like I said, this is going to be used to bring further division, left against right, Democrat against Republican, black against white, you know. And this is gonna, this is gonna cause a lot of controversy and drama. And this is exactly what these elites want. Pressure from below, pressure from beneath. It says video footage shared online showed a man riding a lime bicycle appearing to shout "Fuck Charlie Kirk" while mourners chanted "USA." The man was quickly swarmed by a mob that could be seen throwing punches and kicks. Terrifying screams could be heard in the background as scenes became increasingly violent. Boise police intervened to restore order and took someone into custody, Idaho 6 News reports. However, it's not clear whether anyone was arrested or cited following the brawl. You see? And you can see it. Look, it's Edomite on Edomite crime, man. You see? So, hey, we can see that this thing is going to cause a lot of controversy, and it's just ultimately stirring things up. And it's basically, it's good for us as far as prophecy is concerned. And like I said, today is 9/11. Who knows what else this day has in store, There's been a lot of shit going on, man. Prophecy is literally jumping off the page. You got all of these uproars of the people. You got all these mass shootings. And you had another mass shooting that happened in Colorado, which got swept under the rug because of the magnitude of this Charlie Kirk situation. They're over there in Kathmandu, burning down parliament buildings. 19 people got taken back to the spirit world, And I was reading another article. They were saying now is multiple people involved in this whole Charlie Kirk assassination type of deal. So hey, man, it's going down, man. And then I saw this one. And remember, hey, those are Edomites on Edomites fighting each other. I saw this one. Look at this. It says Trump blames the radical left for Charlie Kirk's killing. You see, and what that's going to do? More division. All right, more Egyptian versus the Egyptian, more likelihood of an impending civil war. It says while politicians of both parties largely coalesced to mourn Charlie Kirk after he was shot and killed Wednesday at a Turning Point USA event at Utah Valley University, President Trump blamed the radical left for the conservative activist death. You see, and a lot of these maggers are gonna they're gonna roll with that. They're gonna ride with it. And you're going to have what? The left, those that are against Kirk and against some of his talking points and his ideologies. Hey, they're going to be against the radical, the right. So it's just bringing further division to this country. And it's beautiful, man. The Lord is doing a number on Babylon. It says, for years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's most mass murderers and criminals. No, that guy, Charlie Kirk, was known for saying that so-called Negroes, are the most mass murderers and most violent criminals on the planet Earth. Let's not forget some of his talking points, And like I said, and he was a suspected, I'll use a Tariq Nasheed term, he was a suspected white supremacist, and he had a lot of negative talking views against so-called black people, man. He looked at so-called Negroes as the problem of America, the most violent criminals, and he would not accept the fact that, a lot of the violence and a lot of the trauma and a lot of the ill dealings that happen to black people, he likes to feel as if the government or, this racist system had no part in it. It's just niggas is, inherently violent and criminals, and there ain't no excuse. You live in the greatest country in the world, in America. You could have picked yourself up by your bootstraps. You don't have no excuse, he doesn't take in consideration, we were put in the lowest income areas, horrible schools, horrible education, and all the bullshit we had to go through our being here in America. He felt like that was just an excuse that niggas used to make excuses for being lazy and violent and criminals. And you had every opportunity that every other American and people that came to this country, from other countries had, and you're just not making the best of it. He had a lot of jackass talking points as well, but look what happened. You see, it says this kind of rhetoric is dark. See, this thing you got to pay for and you got to listen to. Now they're going to really crack down on, scrubbing the internet about rhetoric and I struggle saying that word, ideologies that are, influencing people to act out and to be violent and to, carry out assassinations. They're going to blame a lot of the freedom of the internet and people's speech and different, uh, ideo- ideolo- ideological rhetoric and shit like that. Like I said, it's just setting the stage for them to bring in this pre-crime, to scrub the internet, to bring in this Gideon software, and ultimately to come up against anybody with a talking point that goes against the powers that be, and ultimately to crack down and to, wage war on you American people. It says this kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. You see? Hey, and I truly believe that they sacrificed this guy. All right. He was just, somebody that, that was expendable, somebody that they could use to, to further their agenda at the end of the day. And that's just my opinion. Okay. It says Trump called for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree. But he then called out radical left political violence without paying tribute to any Democratic politician who had been targeted. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, the radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. So now he's blaming the left. He's blaming the Democrats. You see, it's their fault. It's because it's them. These sanctuary cities, all of these blue states. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be attacked. So it's just further bringing further division to this country, man. At the end of the day, point blank. We know the elites need this chaos, man. Have everybody distracted, have everybody at each other's throats instead of where the intention and the anger should be truly focused at, which is, these elites and this government and the corruption that's totally saturated this place, man. You see, and as these people are at each other's throats and they're, arguing and fighting over this jackass, hey, these people are going to forget that, they're still struggling to pay their rent. These tariffs is getting ready to kick a lot of ass and bring in more inflation, hyperinflation, that they're being lied to. The system is, they're bringing in AI to take all your jobs, massive amounts of layoffs. These farmers are in dire situations. The up and coming famine, they're going to have you angry and your attention everted at one another instead of the things that really matter the most and pointing the finger and the anger and the violence where it really needs to go. See, it says political violence is not relegated to one side of the aisle. Trump was the target of 2, blah, 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 blah. What else is in here? Yeah. So now this is going to be a thing now, they're about to start saying, oh, now these politicians are in danger. It's not going to be safe for mayors and governors and politicians. We need to have more of the military here to make these streets safe, to keep politicians safe. And we're going to see more of these psyops, more of these attacks and situations happen as forms of distraction from, what these devils are really trying to accomplish, man. You see? So, yeah, this is just bringing more and more division to this country, man. And hey, like I said, it's just gonna get worse and worse. Like I said, they're gonna use this guy as a way to further divide this country, and for people to choose sides and be at each other's throat at the end of the day. All right, let me get this. I'm not gonna make this long. This is Mark chapter 3. Mark chapter 3, verse, I'll read it in NLT, Mark 3:23. Yahushua called them over and responded with an illustration. How can Satan cast out Satan, he asked. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. And if Satan is divided and fights against himself, how can he stand? He would never survive. You see? And this is ultimately what we see taking place. This is a part of what this psyop is really, being used to do amongst other things. But like I said, at the end of the day, hey, man, we see right through it. So, hey, man, just stay prayed up. We're going to keep watching this shit, see what else is going to happen today. Like I said, today is 9/11. So who knows, man? These devils might have something else planned to go down this day that's going to further, divide this situation, or more protest, or more, unalivings, more, psychological operations and events taking place that's, gonna, propel prophecy at the same time, but also to, forward these devil's agenda, man. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm gonna give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Shem, Yahweh Shai. Until the next one, shalom.